Okay, I'd like to call to order the Cape Coral Charter School Governing Board Advanced External Exit Review. It is Wednesday, May 4th at 2 o'clock. Okay, roll call.
Boyer, Cosden, Donaldson, Fisher, Jackson, Kepke, Lucas Ross, McMillan, Winstead, Zivkovic.
Here.
Shall we start with our presenter, Dr. Barker?
Thank you, Madam Chairman. This week has been a fun week for our review team. We've worked hard, we've worked long hours, but we've seen great things, and we hope we can share them adequately with you. I'm going to introduce our team in just a moment, but I want to make sure that you are aware, and anybody else watching, that we represent AdvancED, and AdvancED is an international organization. In fact, it's the international authority, if you will, for school and school system accreditation. They're in over 70 countries throughout the world, not just the U.S., and you see other information there. What we were about is looking at the system and grading the system, if you will, regarding systems accreditation. And that is the key word, systems accreditation, looking at how all functions of the district work together for the benefit of our children. Again, system being the critical word, the structures that bind the schools and the programs together. The external review was a process where you bring in eyes from outside, people who are familiar with school business as well as the AdvancED standards. We don't work for AdvancED. We represent AdvancED as a volunteer. Our process used the very same standards and the very same assessment tools that the district used in their self-assessment. It's an open process, no secrets, no hidden agendas. The same standards, same assessment form that the schools are very familiar with. And I would tell you, you will see in a little bit, the results look very similar. Your district did a good job assessing their status, their progress according to the standards, because we agree with it very closely. So we think they did a great job in that area. The external review results in 5 things. I put an asterisk beside the third because that's called an improvement priority. This is a must-do. This is not a recommendation. This is a must-do. I've addressed that with the superintendent. And the asterisk is there also because every district in every school system in the world, and if you line them up top to bottom with the very best in the world being on top, that system has to receive at least one improvement priority as well. So it's not a negative that you receive one. It's part of our mandate that we must identify at least one. The Index of Educational Quality Accreditation recommendation follow. These are all part of our review. Would like to introduce our team to you. The state director for Florida must have a favorite cousin or a beach house in the area because she put together an outstanding team. The other 4, not me. Martha Saplinski from Ocala, Florida. She's a retired high school administrator. She's also a member of the State AdvancED Council who provides oversight and leadership from that level. Jeff Garthright, another retired administrator from district as well as school levels from Escambia County over near the Pensacola area. Amy Romer, our local team member, Chief Financial Officer for a charter school management company, managing 3 alternative charter schools in Lee County. Therefore, some of her insight into the charter issues that we reviewed, she was very helpful with that. Carol Martin is not retired. She's the youngster on our team. She is the Director of Instruction and Intervention in the Sylacauga School District right outside of Birmingham, Alabama. My name is Ed Barker. Very recently retired from some 44 years of very enjoyable experience in a public school and 2 years in a private school situation. I love it, and I love being retired as well. Get to do a little traveling and meet new folks. Part of our process, part of our process was to interview stakeholders of the district. You see the numbers there. I won't read them out to you. I do have an asterisk beside the word for students. We had a formal sit-down, formal interview with our high school and middle school students, and they will tell you like it is. They are very honest with you. The elementary, we wanted to interview elementary students as well, but we did that in a very informal setting, in classrooms, in the hallways, and whatever, and we got some very typical but very heartwarming feedback from your elementary students. These numbers in all are very, very positive, very good for a district of 4 schools, a district of this size. In addition to that, the survey results that were shared with us, analyzed by the district, we went through those, and you have great survey results there. That gives us a lot of feedback of what your stakeholders think about the district. We found some things, some general findings that we wanted to share with you. First of all, and obvious, is your A rating of all of your schools. Wow. That's great. Most school systems around would love to be in that boat. Most schools would love to be in that boat with an A rating. You know that. Something is in the water. I congratulate you for that. We think we know something about what's going on in the water or something that's behind it, and it involves a lot of your staff. I will remind you, this is a systems review. So you have a school that was created in 2005, I believe. It's an A school. That's wonderful. You quickly followed it by 4 other, not quickly, you appropriately followed it by 4 other schools, and they are doing wonderfully. In the systems review, what we look at is not only the connection, the communication, the stability, but the framework that we institutionalize to support and align and communicate between schools, between levels, and so forth. The connectivity. It's much like if I were to take my house and I had 4 walls, but I didn't connect them in the corner. It wouldn't be very stable. I'd have my 4 walls, but I wouldn't have that connection. Blueprints, if you ever look at the blueprints or watch a building being erected, they put those steel beams or girders up, and they connect them for support and structure, much like the infrastructure of a bridge. A good example is, and I don't want to think about it, but I'm going to use it as an example. If you take the 4 best student drivers from Oasis High School, excellent drivers, put them out on the highway, and take away all the rules and regulations and expectations for driving. No stoplights, no traffic signs, no speed limits. Excellent drivers without common vision or common understanding, you could expect a problem. Similar with the sports analogy, if you have a team out there but no rules, if you have a set of referees out there but they're all looking at one place and all have a similar set of responsibilities, it's not going to work. There are shared responsibilities. And what we look at is the connections to provide stability and strength. In addition to the A, the graduation rate. Wow. Again, as I've said wow a couple times, 98%. But remember now, this is not a high school attaboy. Those high school students started, a lot of them, at that pre-K class at one of your elementary schools. Most of them came through our elementary schools where they have such a caring, nurturing foundation, developed that love for school. come up through the middle school and develop those skills. High school, before you know it, they're graduating. It is something that's attributed to the high school, but we all know it's a lot of teachers, a lot of administrators, a lot of support, even the bus drivers behind those students. Let me go back. I lost one. If you see grayed out, I'm sorry, right above facilities, I'm going to talk about that for in a minute, but right above facilities is the wording commitment to student learning, with an exponential 2 there. We found a commitment to student learning among your teachers, but we found it among the students also. The students we interviewed spoke highly of the faculty work with them. I remember a little 3rd grade student that we talked to, little boy, said, "I love it here." Why? I love it here. The work is challenging. And that was, for a 3rd grade child, that must have been the word of the week. I love it, it keeps me busy. That's what he thought of it. Another example of that was at one of the schools that I was in, saw a teacher pull a child aside with an arm around the child's shoulder, going over an issue that the student was having difficulty with, an instructional concept, and nobody else in the room noticed. So that tells me that happens all the time. That parent, that teacher, or aide, I'm not sure, teacher assistant, was committed to that child learning. So I'm sorry my graphic doesn't show up better, but it's commitment to student learning squared. When you have that, you have an exponential benefit, and that results in some of your A's and your graduation rates. The facilities, my goodness, we went in facilities that looked brand new. In fact, I know that I heard a team member ask, is this brand new tile on the floor? Not only are they well kept, well cared for, and clean, your parents feel safe and secure for their children, and that is one of the standards of AdvancED as well. Governing board, that is a standard. Standard number 2 is the governance and leadership of the district. We found, and we interviewed the board members, you saw back a few minutes ago, the board members are aware and cognizant of the difference in their role as governing board and a building administrator. You don't want to change the bus tires or handle a discipline case or whatever like that. Thank goodness. Principals don't want to get into some of the decisions you have to make as well. The ability the working of a school district anywhere depends on the decision-making level, the governing board to play that role properly and allow within the guidance of policy the direction of the schools, the day-to-day operation of the schools to be at the superintendent and principal level. And we sense that with you. Also, from the board, there was a decision at some point to pursue systems accreditation. Prior to this, Oasis High School had been accredited by AdvancED, and that could have happened again. But that doesn't look at the role of the elementary schools and the middle schools and the superintendent all working together to make sure that everybody is successful. At some point, that decision was made, and we think that was a wise decision on your part. We did hear from teachers. We did hear from principals. Not everybody said the same wording, of course, but we did hear a desire for some additional systematic or systemic processes. Nobody wants a rigid rule book that everybody has to be on page 17 at the same day, same hour on Thursday or anything like that. We're not talking about that. There is a level of professional creativity, teacher creativity in the classroom that has to be. We don't want schools to be mirror images of themselves or whatever, but we are talking about a common goal, a common vision, communication, and common support for long-term sustainability of our program. The report And by the way, this is merely an exit report. There will be a full report due to the superintendent within 30 days that will have the background, the evidence, the rationale, the nuts and bolts behind the comments I'm making today. Our review and our report will be based in 3 domains, if you will. Teaching and learning is what we really ought to be all about. This accounts for standards 3 and 5 for those of you who've worked with this. To begin with, we looked in classrooms. Elliott, this is our observation tool. It was shared with the district early. One of the schools said they even had teachers practice it, observing each other's classes, which I thought was an excellent practice. The domains on the left-hand side of the screen, equitable learning environment, merely looks at, are all children provided with the same opportunities? Even the child on the back row, even the child who didn't bring his papers to school, and so forth. Supportive learning environment. Do we go the extra mile to make sure that the child who forgot his homework, who never does his homework, gets the support he needs so that he will or she will succeed in the end? Active learning, we want engagement. The old days of the teacher just reading for an hour and then the students taking notes and going to another class, we've learned that does not work. We're trying to root that out. An active, engaging environment is what we look for. I will go down to the last, digital learning. This is the use of technology. There is a good supply of technology in the schools. What we look at is student use of technology. In most cases, there was a teacher using technology in one shape or another in every classroom, but when we're in the classroom to observe, we're looking only at what the students are doing, including technology, and we can't guess that they may or may not. You'll see the AEN, that's the AdvancED network. This is across the international, all the schools in the world. This is their average, and this is on a scale of 1 to 4. Doesn't go below 1, doesn't go doesn't go above 4. Those are your averages. What we did to come up with the Cape Coral ratings, we went to 4 schools. Guess how we determined to go to 4 schools? We were able to visit all of your schools. We went to 56 classrooms, which is a good, because it comes at a little bit an average of 11 classroom visits by each of the team members on Tuesday. It's a long, tiring day, but you see a great deal of what is really happening in your schools. The ratings for the Elliott observations are there. I hope you notice that all except the bottom line is above, in some cases well above, the International AdvancED network. That's super. The digital learning is 1/10 of a point below, and again I stress that is students using technology that day, on that Tuesday, during that 20-minute period that we were in that room. We may have just missed it, but that's the process we use. Based on all the evidence and the observations, things we've read, we have come up with several findings for the district. First is a powerful practice, something that we think is a wow, another wow, if you will, something that's going so well that we want you to brag on it. The volunteer program has your families engaged, has them highly involved, and the parents that we talked to felt a real sense of pride and ownership in the school system. We feel that is a powerful practice, one that any school system around could look at and try to emulate. We also have several opportunities for improvement. These are not requirements. These are suggestions based on our findings, from talking to staff members, from talking with parents, looking at the data. There is a process for continuous improvement or professional learning. When we have students come to school for the first year, our teachers always say, "You're going to do well this year." Even our best students on the front row or wherever they're sitting, we want them to do better. Even our best students, we want to do better. Likewise with our best teachers and our best principals and our best superintendent and even our best team members. We want to do better. Everybody can do better, and that's through continuous professional learning, aligned with the system needs, not just anything you want to do. Another opportunity. Students depend on the school for a lot, not just reading and writing. Some have needs that can only be met at the school because of family or community circumstances. This includes guidance, media services, advice or advising or tutoring students, intervention for students who are going off the proper path. Students only stay in our schools for a short time. We can't allow a year to go by without their needs being adequately addressed. You'll notice we're not telling you how to do this. That's for the district to come up with, to find the way that fits your needs. An improvement priority. This is one of the must-dos. We heard this everywhere we went. Collaboration, talking to each other, third grade teachers talking to fourth grade teachers, fifth grade teachers talking to fifth grade teachers, high school to middle school, English teachers talking to math teachers. We do it informally, and we're not talking about we don't want to create something that's so rigid, but it needs to be improved. What is going on is good. It needs to be made better. We want to see 100% graduation rate so that everybody, through collaboration, all of our needs will be met. Even with that, it's an outline. You will still allow for the professional creativity, professional license, if you will, for our master teachers, which you do have. Another improvement priority, a requirement from our team, if you will, is regarding data. We heard data, we saw data outlined in the self-assessment from the district before we got here. We heard it, we read it again, we agree with it. There is need for additional training and additional resources of data. Data can be powerful if you understand what it is and understand what it doesn't tell you. We've got to be smart about it. The next domain is in leadership capacity. This is standards 1 and 2, the vision, purpose, as well as standard 2, the leadership, meaning the superintendent and the governing board. We have an opportunity. We know very well you have a mission and vision. We're concerned about the process, and we are encouraging you to review that process and maybe improve it to include representatives from all stakeholder groups up front to increase the buy-in, the ownership, and the awareness. We interviewed parents who did not know about the vision and mission or purpose of the school district. The next domain is resource utilization. This takes care, this is standard 4, resource utilization. An opportunity, investigate additional funding through the grant area. There is money out there. It can be brought in to enhance and supplement, go on to greater levels of excellence. I will caution anybody who is hearing what I'm not saying. We did not find any evidence or concern of misuse or unwise use of any resources, financial or other, even just equipment. We are not saying that at all. We're just saying we heard everybody, we heard a lot of people say, we need more money, we need more money, we need more money. And there is so much you can get from your existing sources. We know that. We encourage you to think about grants as a way to supplement your in many ways, a unique system that you have here. Another opportunity regarding technology. There's a lot of concern, a lot of interest in the technology. We're aware that you have a technology plan. We're aware that you have a technology process in place. What we're saying is look at it carefully. On that second line, it begins with a shared vision. Make sure your teachers, your needs of your kids, everybody is in line with what we need because of what we're going to do with it. Don't just buy it because we want to have X. What are we going to do with it in the school? And remember, one thing that we look at, and there's a reason for it, is do your students use the technology? Not just the teacher. Do your students use it? If the student use is going to help be part of that vision, it may drive where you go with your purchasing plan. You see wonderful things with technology in the hand of a student. Therefore, getting to the end, there is a term that we have in AdvancED called IEQ. It takes not an average, but takes all of those areas that we mentioned, the 3 domains, doesn't average them together because some are more larger domains than others. The 4th bullet there, it results in a tool that the board and superintendent's office can use. It's another source of data. How do we compare with other districts our size? How do we compare with what happened in the past? And it can be, you can do this each year on your own, but it's another form of analysis and data that you can do yourself. The IEQ is a number. The range is from 100 to 400. It's the same scale as the Elliott 1 to 4. They just put 2 zeros behind it to give you a little more breakout. Again, you've got your AE network average. This is in the countries throughout the nation, throughout the world, not just the U.S. You'll see they range from the 292 to 268. Again, there's not a mathematical average being the top, but the overall score is a composite of those lower 3. What we're going to look at is the system Cape Coral results, and I put the word system there on purpose. Remember, this is a systems accreditation, not a school accreditation. We're looking at the structures you have in place to be a system. And there we go. You will notice that they are lower than the international average, but again, I stress to you, it is the focus on the system constructs within your school organization, and you are a 10-year-old district. System approach has not been emphasized in the past. We think it has worlds of benefit for you to think about those, not to restrict the individual schools for performing well, but to support them even greater. With the recommendations that we've made, our team feels very confident, and we hope you will too once you look at it, that those numbers, once the recommendations we've made are implemented your way, those numbers will increase significantly and rapidly. There are some things that are just missing between schools. Bottom line, the IEQ results are satisfactory compared to other institutions. We are going to recommend. The power of the team is only that. We can only recommend. We turn in all of our evidence, but we unanimously recommend accreditation for the the district. We think you are more than worthy of that. We'll caution you to remember that it's a process. It's not over today. There are some improvement priorities that must be addressed. It is a continuation. Please keep it out as a roadmap of things that we want to put in place our way. We need to have professional discussions of what that means, but hopefully it'll deliver or result in those strategic actions down below, focusing on the kids that we interviewed and met in your schools. Very polite, very well-mannered, very determined children, pre-K through 12. We have to say thank you, especially for the openness of everybody we talk to. No secrets. We respect the effort that you're making. In the last 10 years, significant change has happened because of this school system. We congratulate those of you who had a role in getting that started. And we also congratulate you on the completion of the first step of requirements for the system accreditation. Thank you, Madam Chairman.
Did anybody have any questions? I actually had one question, Dr. Barker. Could you come back up? Just one. I was surprised at this one, and I don't know what goes into it, so I wanted, if you could just tell me.
Mm-hmm.
The use of resources?
Yes.
What goes into that category?
What's in that category is the technology planning, strategic planning, the guidance services, the media services, custodial, building maintenance, that type of thing, the behind-the-scenes area.
Okay.
And there are a number of, there's a opportunity there on the strategic plan, the completion of that, the technology is a big part of it. And
Sure.
we know some of those things are already in place.
Okay.
Excellent question.
Okay. Mr. Winston has a question. No.
First, thank you guys very much for doing an excellent job. I can tell the extreme dedication that all of you have in completing this and putting your time, all those years of being in the fray and now taking that experience and sharing it with our organizations. We're very thankful for you to be here. Right. The question I had was, this is the report that's being put in. There's the items that were identified to address. What is the process? Like you said, some of these things, once addressed, it would change our overall scoring quickly. Is there a time frame or process that for the secondary part? Like I know there would be like an accreditation period, and you'd be up, or can we hit the quick hit things and then like be rescored? I guess we're kind of competitive. We want to be number one. Yeah.
Don't blame you a bit. I'll answer two ways. Mm-hmm. The typical time frame, the official time frame is 5 years. Mm-hmm. In a 5-year period, there'll be another team, if you continue to come in and start over with the same processes and all like that. What has to happen within 2 years is addressing those 2 or 3 improvement priorities, the must-dos.
Right.
Now, some of these things are quick hitters, as you well stated. There is a process where you can hit those things or even hit them all and ask for a reassessment. I've seen that done. The details behind it, I'm not sure, but there are competitive districts and they want to do that.
Is there an advantage for us to take either path, that go ahead and wait for the 2 years, or to do it quickly?
When we put together our recommendations, we start by anything we're concerned about, we put on the board. And then we narrowed it down, because we know if we throw 50 things at you, it'll choke a horse.
Right.
So we tried to make it a manageable number. And what is manageable while you're running schools, while you're teaching kids, and no telling what's going to come up down the road from State Department or whatever, how much you can reasonably hit quickly while still having that airplane going down while you're still flying the airplane.
Right.
It is a local decision. We wanted to we don't give you a time frame other than the advanced ed requirement of the 2 years for those certain ones. It's a local choice. The advantage, you can say we got it done, and it's a pride factor, absolutely. And you could talk with the state office of advanced ed and see what the procedure would be from their end. But I would caution you not to, say we're going to get this done by tomorrow, because if it's not a quality
I was
job.
kind of hoping before the plane
Yeah.
left tonight, but I guess that might be a little aggressive.
We could bring in, here is a recipe, adopt it. It's somebody else's. But the whole thing, everything we said was develop and implement. Develop and implement so that it's your process. You know your circumstance. So we want you to take time, develop. And if you do it in 1 year, if you do it in 5 years, we are pleased. But I did say, kids are only with you a very short time. Your juniors in high school don't want to wait. Your sophomore, they can't wait. They're going to be gone. So that's why improvement as fast as you can, reasonably, and quality improvement. That's a good point. Yeah, okay.
Okay, thank you very much.
Sure.
All right, did you have anything you wanted to say, Nelson? Congratulations, by the way. Congratulations to all of you over there that worked so hard to make it happen.
That's all that I wanted to say. Is I would be remiss to say that this was a system endeavor, and I appreciate all the hard work. There was lots of hours put in by a lot of people, and so it's appreciated because it was a true team effort, and that's what they pointed out, and I like what Dr. Barker said was we identified, I think, kind of lockstep almost everything that they said. So we're excited about those changes that we're going to make, but more happy to report that we are system-wide accredited for the first time in our history. So couldn't be more proud, and again, it's a team effort. So just wanted to thank everybody.
Okay. All right, that's the shortest meeting in the history of meetings. Wait, I still got a call. I haven't adjourned it yet. All right, the time and date of our next meeting is a regular board meeting, May 10th at 9 a.m. in council chambers. This meeting is adjourned.